Thank you guys today for joining us for the first installment of our Year Informed series, our Year Informs webinar series, Mastering Year End, the Ultimate Playbook for 2024 Filing. My name is Jerica Holton. I'm the product marketing manager here at Greenshades. I'm an expert on all of our Greenshades products, and I have some experience in retail management as well as HCM training, and I've been a Greenie since 2022.
And my name is Laura Dage. I am with the Tax and Compliance. I've been the manager in the last year. Been with Greenshades almost 11 years. Most of those years have been in compliance. Prior to that, I have over 30 years in finance and accounting in the public housing sector. I am a graduate of Du Bois Business College with a degree in business management and accounting. So let's take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. So today we're just going to give you guys an overview of the year-end filing process, focusing on some of those changes coming up, key deadlines to prepare for, and how you can file with Greenshades. And as always, this is not formal legal advice. Always consult your local counsel if you have any questions regarding anything when it comes to legal advice.
So before you get started, you have to pull all your data together to get everything in one place so that you can take a look at it, make sure everything is right. Where I tend to focus first is on the W-2, the totals of the W-2, and comparing them to your cumulative 941s. So what you're looking at to compare is your federal wages, your federal tax withheld, Social Security wages and tips, and your Medicare wages and tips. Those things do need to balance. They have to equal. Another thing to look at regarding your W-2s is the Social Security wage base. So before or when you get out of this webinar, check your accounting package. Make sure your Social Security wage base is set correctly. For 2024, it's $168,600. Now, you still have a few months if you did not update your accounting package that you can rectify that. Another way to check on the Social Security wage base is the total amount of Social Security taxes withheld. So the total amount there for 2024, you take the 168,600 times your 6.2%, which is $10,453.20. So if your wage base, if your Medicare wages exceed the 168,600, but your Social Security wage base does not, or your Social Security taxes withheld does not equal that amount, you need to fix it. It's easier to fix it now than after the year has closed out. Another thing to be aware of is your healthcare FSA contribution. That has increased from $3,050 to $3,200 for 2024. And likewise, the 401k, the contribution that the employee is allowed to contribute has also increased to $23,000, and then it's going up to $23,500 for 2025. The published Social Security wage base for 2025 is also available, and it's listed there in the bullet right underneath the 2025 updates. It's going to $176,100. These are important things to be aware of. Another thing that I'm seeing errors on with W-2 submissions is when your Social Security wage base, your Social Security taxable wages and tips exceed your Medicare wages. It's not supposed to happen. Your Medicare wages and tips will always exceed or equal your Social Security wages. Another thing is from time to time, when you do corrections, you end up with a negative number. A W-2 cannot have a negative number. So those are things, again, like I said, you still have time between now and the end of the year when your last paycheck is issued to get those things fixed. Another thing you're looking at is imputed income. So if you have employees that receive more than $50,000 in the group term life insurance, or their dependents over $2,000, that amount over it factors into your taxable wages. Educational assistance if you provide this, number one, and if you provide more than 5250 in 2024, that becomes taxable. This is one of those credits that or offerings that you can provide benefits that is set to expire at the end of 2025. It may be renewed. At this point, it's just set to expire. Your dependent care assistance. Now, this is the amount that shows up in box 10 on your W-2. That should be basically the 5,000. The limit is 5,000. If it's in excess of 5,000 that you provided, that is taxable. Adoption assistance. If the amount exceeds 16,810, it's taxable, and it gets reported in box 12, code T. The other item there listed is the qualified parking exclusion and commuter transportation benefit. That limit is $325 per month for 2025. For 2024, it's $315, I believe it is. So these things you have to be aware of when you're looking at your W-2s, the numbers that you're reporting. Look at your pay stubs and take a closer look. When you do just a cursory review of your total gross wages, less cafeteria plans, health plans, anything that would defer the federal or Social Security and Medicare taxes, especially your Social Security and Medicare, is the tax that's withheld. Is that correct? So another thing that I see is with the 940, 941, from time to time, I am asked to take a look and see if, what exactly is the reason that the filing got rejected. And I've been noticing a lot. There's a form 8222, and it's request change of address information. So where this is showing up is just as a warning. It's not an error yet. The IRS wants you to use the same exact spelling of your company name, address, and make sure that matches the EIN. And when I say exact, so if you use Inc., INC versus INC period, they're looking at that as a difference. Even in your address, if you spell out drive instead of DR or DR period, they're looking at that as a difference, and they are issuing warnings. Hey, there's a change here. It's not the same. So I realize most of this comes out of your accounting package. If you, especially in year-end forms, when you have, you're looking at all of the information, make sure that information is the same. Likewise with the employee information, do all your employees have Social Security numbers or ITINs? Check the spelling of the names. If they have multiple names, do they all belong to the first name or the last name? Or should they be hyphenated? Be aware if someone got married, they may have changed their name. Now, did they change their name with the Social Security Administration? Two different things. So if they are providing a change in name, maybe they got divorced, maybe they got married, ask for their new Social Security card. All of those things are expected to match. When they don't, the IRS is going to issue you a CP 2100. A CP 2100 is just saying, hey, we found all of these names and Social Security numbers as mismatches, and you're required to follow up on that notice. And what you're going to be doing is basically like a B notice. You're going to be sending out requests for follow-up information. For your employees, you'll be using W-4s. For your vendors, you'd be using W-9s. So be aware, these things do have to match. And this, it's not just W-2s. They're looking at this on your 1095s also. So, focusing again on the incorrect Social Security number, it should match exactly what's on the Social Security card, the name should match also. And I realized when they print the name on the Social Security card, it doesn't say first name, last name. Um, and if you need to ask your employee, does this, is it multiple first names, multiple last names, or a combination thereof? Um, is it just a TIN, an ITIN? Um, but again, if there's a mismatch, the IRS is going to send you a CP 2100 notice. And they're very quick right now with all the additional hirings of their agents to send out these notices. And you follow up with a B notice. If you don't know what a B notice is, just Google it, and it'll provide you with a document. In that document, it'll actually give you letters to use to issue to your employees and your vendors, requesting the follow-up information. So exploring year-end forms. We have a couple different types of W-2s. We have your basic W-2 wage report that goes to the federal government. W-2G is income that you earn fun way, gambling. And we do also support the W-2GU, which is Guam. So if you have any employees in Guam, we do support that. And likewise with Puerto Rico. Now, you may see that as a W-2PR. Puerto Rico's form, they actually call it a 499R-2, but we support these forms. We're also looking at, with Puerto Rico, possibility of supporting withholding and unemployment new hire. And they also have a chauffeur's license or insurance. So that's something we're looking at in the future. Overview of the 1099 forms. The most common ones are the miscellaneous, the NEC, and the dividend. Focusing on the miscellaneous, the IRS came out with a revision a couple months ago that was dated March of 25, which would have affected the tax forms for 2024. And in that revision, they removed box 14, the golden parachute. They have since modified that to April of 2025. So now that change, box 14, is for tax year 2025, filing season 2026. So for 24, there are no changes to the miscellaneous form. The NEC is the same also. It's still 600 for your minimum contribution or payment to the vendor. And then your dividend has no changes also. Additional forms that we support are the 1099B. The only changes on there is your years. The 1099C, cancellation of debt. Your dividend there, again, your interest, that's still $10. K, the 1099K. Over the past few years, they have changed or tried to change the reporting amount from 20,000 down to 600. Once again, they're doing that. They're saying all transactions that exceed 600. And likewise in the past, in December, early January, they've reverted back to the 20,000. As of right now, this is still 600 at all transactions. And it may hit this time that they're going to hold to that. We also do like I said, the miscellaneous, the NEC, the PATR, that's partnerships and co-ops, the retirement, the R, and the S, sale of real estate. With the R, there's a group of folks of, payroll people, tax professionals, that type of like-minded people who volunteer to look over your the IRS tax forms and make suggestions that they feel are necessary. So they have suggested, I should say, for the 1099R to change the due date to January 31st. This is just a suggestion. It has not happened yet, but that may be coming in the near future. As of right now, the due dates and everything, Erica will be going over those later, or Jerica, I'm sorry, will be going over those later in the webinar. The one that a lot of people have problems with is the 1095-C. This is the Affordable Health Care Act form. The C means that you are an applicable large employer. Um, we do help you with making those determinations as to how to report those employees, whether you're an ALE or not. Do you have, the required full-time employee count to qualify you as an ALE? If you're an aggregate ALE member, to get all of those members listed in the last part of the form. We help you track the coverage offered, the employee contributions, and the months of coverage. As of right now, the recipient copies are due March 3rd. The paper copies are due to the IRS February 28th, and the e-file will be due March 31st. I do want to caution you on using the 1095-C and the 1095-B form to send into the IRS. These forms are only approved as substitute forms to the employee, not to the IRS. They will get rejected. Also, as we'll be going over in more detail later on in the seminar or the webinar, the form count for 2024 is down to 10, not just 10 of the same form, but 10 of the cumulative federal forms. So it's going to be very difficult to do paper submissions. So even though they do give you the option of a due date for paper copies, it's very difficult now to be able to do that. Most of you are going to have to file electronically, which is what Greenshades does to support. Every electronic file out there that can be submitted, we do for you. So other forms that we haven't gone over are the 1042S, the 1095B, which is for the non-ALE employers, 1098 for your mortgage, 1090C, 1098T, your student loan or your student educational expenses. Your T4 and T4A, those are Canadian forms if you're not familiar with that. The T4 is like a W-2, and the T4A covers not only pensions, it covers scholarships and a wide plethora of different types of income to be reported. But we do support those.
All right, so now we're going to cover meeting deadlines and filing. So there is a cost if you file your forms late. So last year, it was $60 fine for 30 days late. That's the same for this year. There are some increases for 31 days late after August 31st and intentional disregard to file. So 31 days late can result in a $130 fine. After August 31st, it is now $330. And the intentional disregard to file is now at $660. So it's only up about $10 for each one of those, but it's just important to note that there is an increase in making sure that you're completing those filings on time. So next, we're going to look at some important deadlines. So for your W-2s, your paper and electronic forms are due by January 31st. For your 1099 miss, it's important to note that if you're reporting payments in box 8 or 10, the due date is February 15th. However, that does fall on a Saturday, and that Monday is a federal holiday. So we encourage you to try to get those filings in by that Thursday. And then there's some other various due dates. I won't read all these out. I'll allow you guys to kind of review the slides and see the due dates for our most common 1099 forms. So next, we're going to do a quick overview of electronic and paper filing. If you are doing paper filing, I encourage you guys to get started early, as rates do get higher the longer you wait to print and mail your forms. So I do encourage you to get started early on the process. And with the process, you can create your forms and submit them independently. You can utilize a software such as Greenshades for form creation and then file independently. Or you can leverage software from Greenshades to create the forms and delegate the filing process for you. So we'll handle the printing and mailing for you. We can either mail them to one address and allow you to delegate from there and mail them independently, or we can mail them to recipients for you. Or you can utilize this for electronic filing. So you can independently file on the official websites and platforms provided by government agencies. Or you can delegate the filing process to Greenshades and we'll e-file on your behalf to relevant authorities. We make the process also simple for your employees. So you're able to deliver your forms on time, every time. As we know, when it comes to year end, many people are looking for those tax returns, ready to start on those 1040s. So it's nice to have those forms in a timely manner. You can keep your employees informed, so automatic notifications once those forms are complete, so they'll know that those are inside their employee self-service. And for that 1040 filing, we also offer integrations with tax preparation programs such as TurboTax or H&R Block. So your employees don't have to do duplicate entry from their W-2 information. They can just import it into the tax preparation software and it will auto-populate for them, making the process easy for them. And with those W-2s and 1095Cs, you can access those forms whenever you need them. So through those employee self-service portal, employees can access those forms digitally at any time. And lastly, as along with electronic filing being one, convenient and efficient, it also has a great environmental benefit. So greatly reduces our carbon footprint at the year-end filing season. As we know, a lot of forms go out from 1099s, W-2s, 1095Cs. If there's any way to help the environment, e-filing is a great way. It helps reduce the demand for paper, eliminate the need for physical transportation of forms, and eliminates the need for physical storage. I know myself, I am not a fan of filing cabinets and having a lot of papers to deal with. So it also eliminates the need for that.
Some of the changes for year-end forms, and there weren't many this year, is the threshold. That's the big one. So, like I said, it's 10 forms, but it is the collective amount of all your federal forms. So your W-2s, your 1095s, your 1099s, 1098s, 1042s, all of those combined together. If they exceed 10, you need to file electronic for all of the forms. The states, for the most part, follow the federal government, but not always. So when you have a state that you have to report to, make sure that you know what the filing requirements are. But we do, most states do have electronic options, and we do provide you with those files to remit to the state. Significant changes on the forms, like I mentioned, the 1099K, it's once more dropped down to 600 for all payments. And as of right now, today, it has not changed. The 1099 miscellaneous box 14 is still going to stay for 2024. It will be removed for 2025 at this time. Box 2, they added a new code to box 12, not box 2, W2, box 12. They've added a new code, II. And I don't think this is going to affect many of you. It may. It's called Medicaid waiver payments that are excluded from gross income under Notice 214-7. So if you have that, there's a new code, 22. Another thing I'm sure that most of you are aware of, there are some states out there, and a city, Philadelphia is one of the cities, that require you to provide notices to your employees about tax credits. Basically, your earned income tax credit or your child tax credit. Some of these can be posted. Maine and Louisiana allow you to just post in a public place. California, they'll accept the instructions on the back of the W-2 for your earned income tax notice. Colorado has their own notice, but you're going to have to check with each one of these. We're thinking about providing links to your filing page that have these notices on so that you're aware of them. This was asked of us just today, so that's something that we're working on. But they are asked, these states are the ones that are asking for notices going to the employees. Hey, are you aware of this credit that you may be entitled to? So those are the changes for 2024. So for year-end forms, if you're not familiar with it, when you log into your account online, you have the year-end forms tab at the top. You're going to be asked to import the file information, and it'll hit then on this here page that we're showing here, the year-end forms. So you're importing it. You can use the templates that we provide, or you're syncing it up with your the connector or SQL. One of the things you're going to look at is your company setup. Remember what I had mentioned earlier about having the company name matching exactly to all your other IRS forms. So this is where you're going to be looking at that. Is it correct? Do you need to change your accounting package? Do you need to update the information with the IRS? Your employee identification number. So your verification. So at this point, you're able to request a review of all the Social Security numbers, cross-referencing against the name. And that will show up on the BSO site as a whether, it's not going to error. It's going to provide you with a warning, informational warning that these didn't match. Then one of the other steps you're going to be looking at if you have any possibility of a correction, and this may be where your Social Security or your Medicare taxes aren't multiplying out correctly. Now, if it's cents, that's rounding, throughout your paychecks. If it's a large amount, you may want to just take a look at why it's off. Report what the employee had taken out, though, unless you're able to, if this is before the end of the year and you're able to refund them any amounts that were over withheld. You're going to verify your totals, going back to comparing your numbers to your 941s. Your employee management. How are you going to send these to your employees? Are you going to be posting them to their email account, or are you going to be mailing them? Is the employee going to be able to opt in? Now, if you are providing them an electronic version, they have to opt into that every year. That is a requirement by the IRS. And then the form distribution. How are you going to distribute them? The next steps would be if you have state or local returns. It'll take you through the wizard to complete those steps. It's a very simple wizard, and it's not bouncing around. You go to step 1, step 2, step 3. So just follow along with it, and it will help you navigate the process. The 1099 forms. This is also, it's going to be imported, and it'll show up here with the My 1099s. Their link at the top of the page. Again, you're going to look at your company setup. You're going to look at your vendor. And we have contracted with a company called MEK Macora. Currently, right now, we are doing TIN matching also. So we submit those to the IRS, and they'll send a report back whether your business name matches the TIN number. Oftentimes, vendors will use their DBA, doing business as their company name, and that's incorrect. They need to use the name on the that they're registered with the IRS. So this is another area where you may get a CP 2100 where it's a mismatch. It'll also give you an option to review for any areas that may cause a rejection. You're going to verify your totals. Now, you may want to use your accounting package. However, if this is vendor payments, use your accounts payable package. And then you have your option for form distribution. Do you want us to mail them? Do you want to mail them? How do you want the vendor to receive these? And then also it'll follow through with your state or local returns. Now, on the 1099s, we will support the CFSS SF reporting to the IRS. That's the combined federal state filing. If there's withholding on those returns, almost every state requires you to also report that to the state. Don't count on just the CFSF reporting in your federal report for those individuals that you've withheld from. Those do need to go directly to your state. And you check with your state if they have any other reasons for separate reporting to them. A lot of times they want to put as part of the reconcilement. That's why they want the amount withheld.
Thank you, Laura, for covering how Greenshades can help. Now we're going to move into the wrap up. At Greenshades, along with your forms, we can also help you with payroll. We offer a flexible in-house solution configured for your business. Human resources, helping your employees from hire to retire. Benefits administration, so along with helping you with those 1095 forms, we can also help you manage ACA compliance year-round, as well as open enrollment. Tax and compliance, along with your forms, we can also help with 940, 941, various information returns, and more. And lastly, time and labor management, so easily tracking your labor across your employees' different locations using their mobile device. And lastly, let's go over some key takeaways. So staying compliant with confidence. With a software like Greenshades, we are built on tax and compliance. So when you're filing with us, you know that you can verify those social security numbers to stay compliant, as well as those TINs, and review your forms in a timely manner with alerts to any areas that you may need to review before you get to filing. You can simplify the complex process with our simple Year in Forms checklist. We make it easy to import your information and review it before you delegate it to your employees and appropriate agencies. And lastly, we keep you updated with any Year in Form changes, making sure you have the most updated versions of forms and you're educated about any changes going on in the current year. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today to the first installment of our Year in Forms webinar series. If you would like to see a personalized demo or learn more about Greenshades, feel free to contact us today. Our contact information is on the screen.